Imagine for a moment that you are steering a small wooden boat down a wide river. The current beneath you is steady, ancient, and sure. When you let your oars move with its flow, every stroke feels light, almost effortless, and the boat glides forward as if guided by an unseen hand. But if you insist on rowing against the current, fighting its direction, every motion becomes heavy, strained, and exhausting. This simple image is the best way to understand the hidden rhythm that moves through each of us. Our bodies are rivers with their own currents. To move with them is to move with ease. To fight against them is to invite fatigue and burnout. This invisible current is known as the circadian rhythm, the body's natural clock, a cycle written into our very cells. Long before the invention of mechanical clocks, before digital timers and alarms, human beings lived by this quiet rhythm. It is the ancient drumbeat that governs when we feel awake and when we feel tired, when our mind is sharp and when it begins to slow, when our body craves nourishment and when it longs for rest. Science today tells us that every organ, every system, every function of the body responds to this internal clock. Yet beyond science, there is something deeply human and spiritual about it, as if life itself whispers to us. There is a time for everything, and everything has its time. Edgar Cayce often spoke of harmony between the spiritual and the physical, the outer life and the inner life. He reminded us that the laws of the universe express themselves even in the smallest details of the body. What he called the rhythms of creation are not distant cosmic forces, but living patterns reflected in our breath, our heartbeat, and our daily cycles of energy. To live without awareness of these rhythms, he suggested, is to move against the tide of nature. And when we resist nature, we not only weaken our bodies, we weaken the flow of our souls. So what happens when you align yourself with this inner rhythm? Suddenly, life begins to feel lighter. Tasks that once required enormous effort feel more natural, as if the energy to accomplish them is simply present, waiting for you to claim it. You may notice you sleep more deeply, wake more refreshed, and move through your day with greater clarity. Creativity may spark at unexpected times, ideas flowing as though they have been waiting just behind a veil. The secret is not that you have become more disciplined or more forceful, but that you have learned to listen, to trust the current that was always there. Pause with me here. Notice what time it is for you as you listen to these words. Is it morning where you are, with the first light touching the sky? Is it midday when energy peaks and the world moves at its fastest pace? Or is it evening, when shadows lengthen and the body naturally begins to wind down? Wherever you are, your body is quietly guiding you. And if you take a moment to sense it, you can feel the pull of your own rhythm beneath the noise of schedules, alarms, and deadlines. Think of your daily life like a symphony. Each note, each instrument has its perfect place in the score. When the orchestra plays together in tune, the music is beautiful and powerful. But if one section ignores the conductor, rushing ahead or lagging behind, the harmony breaks, and even the most gifted musicians sound chaotic. In the same way, our work, our rest, our meals, and our movement all belong to the larger symphony of our circadian rhythm. To live out of tune is to create dissonance, fatigue, stress, imbalance. To live in tune is to let the music carry us forward. This audiobook is your invitation to rediscover that music. We will explore the golden hours, the times of day when your mind and body are most alive, ready for creativity or focus. We will uncover the role of sleep, not simply as rest, but as the foundation upon which every performance is built. We will talk about food, movement, and light, elements so ordinary we forget they are instruments shaping the rhythm of our energy. And we will see how, when we stop forcing ourselves to match the clock on the wall and instead follow the deeper clock within, we unlock a natural efficiency that requires no strain. But before we move further, let us return to the idea of rowing with the current. In today's world, many of us are trained to ignore the current entirely. We are told to push harder, to stay up later, to drink another cup of coffee, to squeeze more hours into the day. The result is often exhaustion disguised as productivity. We may achieve much on paper, but we feel empty inside, drained of vitality. Cayce would say that such living is a betrayal of the body's temple. It is like pulling a plant out of sunlight and expecting it to grow stronger. What if instead you trusted that the body already knows the way? What if you honored its signals, the natural rise of energy in the morning, the gentle slowing in the evening, the cravings for movement or stillness, the call for nourishment or water? This is not laziness. It is wisdom. For when you respect the rhythm, you align with something far greater than yourself, the turning of the earth, the dance of light and darkness, the cycle of creation itself. So as we begin this journey together, I ask you to do something simple yet profound. Take a breath. Notice your body. Feel the rhythm in your chest, the steady beat of your heart, the rise and fall of your lungs. This is your first reminder. You are already living in rhythm. The secret is learning to recognize it, to trust it, and to build your life around it. And as we go deeper, we will uncover how this rhythm shapes your days, your nights, your thoughts, and your actions. We will see how discovering your golden hours can unlock energy you never knew you had. Because just as every river has its fastest currents, every human being has moments when life flows effortlessly forward. The key is to find those currents and let them carry you. To understand why the body feels tired at 1 hour and alert at another, we must first recognize the truth of the inner clock that beats within us. It is not mechanical, not bound by numbers or hands moving across a dial. Instead, it is biological, etched into every cell of your body, guiding thousands of processes that unfold in perfect timing. Scientists call this the circadian rhythm, but in essence, it is the song of life itself, a pattern woven into us from the moment we are born. From the rising of the sun to the setting of it, our bodies are tuned to cycles of light and darkness. In the morning, when light first touches our eyes, signals travel deep into the brain, awakening the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a cluster of cells often called the master clock. This clock sends ripples through the body, adjusting hormone levels, raising body temperature, and preparing us to greet the day. Cortisol, the hormone of alertness, begins to rise. Melatonin, the hormone of sleep, fades into the background. Muscles warm, blood pressure rises, and the body begins its climb into wakefulness. But this is not the work of a single system. Every organ has its own clock, responding to signals of time. The stomach anticipates meals, releasing enzymes in rhythm with eating habits. The liver cycles through detoxification, cleaning the blood more vigorously at night than during the day. Even your heart follows a rhythm, with blood pressure naturally dipping in the late evening, offering the cardiovascular system its time of rest. To ignore these clocks is to strain the body, like asking an orchestra to play without listening to its conductor. Cayce, though he lived in a time before modern neuroscience, spoke often about the balance between body and environment. He taught that the body is not separate from the cycles of the earth, but an expression of them. Just as the tides follow the moon and the seasons mark the passage of the sun, so too does the body align with these larger rhythms. To eat, sleep, or work without regard for them is to create disharmony, a tearing of the fabric that holds health and vitality together. Think for a moment about how you feel when you wake before dawn. For some, the early morning carries a calm clarity, a stillness that nurtures focus. For others, those hours feel heavy, resistant, as though the body is not yet ready to rise. Both experiences are valid, because while the circadian rhythm follows a general human pattern, each individual has unique variations, what scientists call chronotypes. Some are larks, rising with the first light. Others are owls, whose energy blooms after sunset. To know yourself is to know your clock, to sense when your mind is sharpest and your body most alive. This awareness transforms the way you approach your day. Instead of fighting your biology, forcing creativity at midnight, or dragging yourself through tasks when your energy wanes, you can begin to honor it. You can align the most important work with your natural peaks and reserve times of rest for when your body truly asks for it. In doing so, you stop wasting energy in resistance and instead allow efficiency to emerge from flow. Consider, too, how deeply this rhythm influences mood. When you push against it, staying up long into the night under the glow of artificial light, you may notice not only fatigue, but also irritability, anxiety, or a restless mind. Your inner clock has been disrupted, the delicate balance between light and darkness blurred. But when you align with the natural cycle, waking with sunlight, dimming lights in the evening, respecting the body's call for sleep, you may feel a quiet steadiness return. The mind calms, emotions soften, and a natural optimism rises like the dawn itself. Cayce would remind us that healing is not only of the body, but of the mind and spirit as well. He often urged those who sought his counsel to respect regularity, regular times of rest, meals, and prayer, because such patterns restore harmony, not just in flesh, but in the soul's expression. What modern science calls circadian rhythm, Cayce might have described as the rhythm of creation expressing itself through us. It is the same principle. To honor time is to honor life. Let us pause here, and you may ask yourself, do you know your own inner clock? Do you notice when your thoughts feel sharpest? When your body hungers for movement? When your spirit seeks stillness? These are not random. They are the language of your biology, the whisper of the conductor guiding the orchestra of your being. To listen is the first step toward reclaiming energy, health, and peace. And so, having looked at the inner clock itself, we are now ready to explore the next secret it holds, the golden hours. These are the times when your energy is not only sufficient but abundant, when you can do in 1 hour what might otherwise take 3. To discover them is to hold the key to natural performance. And in the next section, we will learn how to find yours. There are moments in every day when life seems to open its arms wide, inviting you to step fully into your potential. These are the golden hours, those mysterious stretches of time when your body is alive with clarity, your mind is sharp with focus, and your creativity flows as if from an endless spring. To discover these hours is to discover yourself, for they are not dictated by the clock on the wall, but by the clock within your very being. Think of a writer who suddenly feels words pour effortlessly onto the page at dawn, while another feels the same river of creativity only after midnight. One struggles in the morning, staring blankly at a sheet of paper, while the other feels empty at night. The difference is not talent or discipline, it is rhythm. Each one is moving in harmony with their golden hours. The same is true for the scientist in the lab, the athlete on the field, the student at the desk, the parent guiding a child. When we find our golden hours, what was once hard becomes natural. Edgar Cayce often described the importance of attuning oneself to the natural forces that shape us. He spoke of aligning the physical, mental, and spiritual as if tuning an instrument. When the strings are tightened just right, the music is beautiful. When they are not, even the finest instrument sounds broken. The golden hours are the strings in tune, times when the body, the mind, and the soul resonate together, producing harmony instead of noise. But how do you find these hours for yourself? The first step is observation. Begin by noticing when you feel most alert during the day. Pay attention to when your concentration deepens without effort, when ideas seem to appear without strain, when you move through tasks almost as though carried by an unseen hand. These are clues. Just as important is noticing when your energy dips, when focus wavers, when every task feels like a battle. To know both is to map the terrain of your rhythm. One way to do this is to keep a simple journal for a week. Record how you feel at different times: morning, midday, afternoon, evening. Note when you feel creative, when you feel productive, when you feel restless, when you feel calm. Patterns will begin to emerge. You may find that your sharpest hours are between 9 and 11 a.m., or perhaps after dinner, when the world grows quiet. These are your golden hours, the periods when the circadian rhythm lifts you upward, like the crest of a wave. Once you find them, protect them. These hours are precious. Too often we waste them on tasks that do not require our best energy, answering emails, scrolling through distractions, or tending to trivial matters. Imagine if, instead, you devoted your golden hours to what truly matters, your deepest work, your highest calling, the tasks that define your growth. To align your best energy with your most important purpose is to multiply your power. Cayce's teachings remind us that every soul has a purpose, a unique mission in this life. He urged people to discover not just what they can do, but what they are meant to do. The golden hours are opportunities to connect with that mission, times when the veil between potential and reality is thinnest. To squander them is to dim the flame of your own destiny. To honor them is to let your soul shine. There is also a rhythm to rest within this discovery. Golden hours are not endless. They come and they pass. Just as the tide rises and falls, your energy surges and recedes. To force productivity outside of your natural peaks is like trying to harvest fruit before it ripens. It only leads to frustration. But when you wait for the right moment, the work bears fruit with ease. This is why it is so important to honor the cycle, to work deeply when the tide is high, and to rest gently when the tide is low. Consider this truth. You do not need more hours in the day. You need the right hours. A single golden hour, used with intention, can be more powerful than an entire afternoon spent in half attention. When you honor this, you free yourself from the illusion that success requires endless pushing. Instead, you discover that success is found in flowing with the rhythm, doing the right work at the right time. So I ask you now, when are your golden hours? Are you the one who feels alive with the sunrise, or the one who feels alive under the stars? Do you thrive in the quiet of morning, or in the deep focus of night? Whichever it may be, the discovery itself is a gift. For once you know, you can begin to shape your life around it. And as we move forward, we will see that while golden hours allow you to work at your best, they rest upon a deeper foundation, the renewal of sleep. For without true rest, the golden hours cannot fully bloom. Just as soil must be nourished to grow a healthy plant, your body must be restored to give rise to its finest moments. Let us now turn to the rhythm of sleep, the cornerstone of natural performance. When you close your eyes at night and surrender to sleep, You step into one of the most powerful healing forces the body possesses. Sleep is not a passive act, not simply the absence of wakefulness. It is a sacred rhythm, a cycle of restoration and renewal that carries you back to balance. Without it, your golden hours fade, your energy weakens, and even your spirit feels heavy. To understand sleep is to understand the very foundation upon which natural performance is built. Science reveals that sleep unfolds in stages, each with its own purpose. Light sleep allows the body to drift from wakefulness into rest, muscles loosening, breathing slowing, the mind letting go. Deep sleep follows, when the body repairs tissue, strengthens the immune system, and releases growth hormones that restore vitality. Then comes REM sleep, where the brain dances with dreams, processing memories, emotions, and insights. Each stage is a thread, and together they weave the fabric of your well-being. Break the pattern, and the fabric frays. Edgar Cayce often spoke of the importance of regular rest. He urged that sleep be given its proper place, not stolen in fragments, but honored as sacred. He described it as a doorway through which the soul reconnects with its deeper self, a time when the physical body is restored, and the mind receives impressions from higher planes. To Cayce, sleep was not just for the body, but also for the soul's renewal. When we respect it, we allow both body and spirit to align with their purpose. Think of a garden in the night. Though no sunlight shines, the soil is alive. Roots are stretching. Flowers are preparing to bloom. The gardener does not see the work, yet it is happening in silence, beneath the surface. Sleep is like this unseen labor. While you lie still, your body is repairing. Your mind is sorting. Your spirit is quietly refreshed. To cut the night short is to tear up the roots before the plant has gathered its strength. Modern life tempts us to do exactly that. Screens glow long into the night. Caffeine fuels us past sunset. Deadlines stretch across midnight hours. We convince ourselves we are gaining time, yet in truth, we are borrowing from tomorrow, stealing energy that was never meant to be spent. Slowly, we fall into debt, not financial, but biological. Sleep debt accumulates quietly, and its cost is high. Foggy thoughts, weakened immunity, heavier emotions, and dulled creativity. We lose not only hours, but the quality of our days. But when you honor sleep, something remarkable happens. You begin to wake refreshed, as though the dawn itself is inside you. The fog lifts, your energy returns, and your golden hours glow brighter than ever. You no longer drag yourself into the day, but step into it with readiness. The body thanks you with vitality, the mind rewards you with clarity, and the spirit offers you a quiet joy. Cayce advised simple practices to align with sleep. Go to bed at a regular hour, rise at a regular hour, and allow the body to trust this rhythm. Darkness, he reminded, is the ally of rest, and light the signal of awakening. Even in his time before the hum of electronic screens, he warned against overstimulation in the evening, urging quiet reflection, prayer, or meditation before sleep. He understood that the way you enter the night shapes the way you emerge in the morning. Perhaps you have noticed this truth yourself. A night spent restless, filled with noise and interruption, leaves you groggy and slow. But a night entered with peace, dim lights, quiet breath, a sense of release, leads to a morning of lightness. It is not only the number of hours, but the quality of them that restores you. To create this quality is within your power. Darken the room, silence the devices, and let the body remember its ancient pattern. Sleep is not weakness, it is wisdom. To rest is not to lose time, but to invest it. For every hour you give to true sleep, you receive many hours of clarity, energy, and life. It is the soil in which your golden hours grow, the root of all natural performance. And now, having seen how rest renews us, we can turn to another rhythm woven into our days, the rhythm of light and darkness, morning and evening, the rise of the sun and the fall of night. These cycles are not outside of us. They live within us, guiding hormones, moods, and energy. If sleep is the foundation, light is the compass. And in the next section, we will learn how the dance of light and dark directs the hidden clock within. From the very beginning of life on this planet, light has been our teacher. Before clocks were invented, before alarms and calendars, there was only the rising and the setting of the sun. The human body grew out of this rhythm of light and darkness, learning when to awaken, when to work, and when to rest. Our inner clock is not only guided by biology, it is trained by light itself. To live in tune with this light is to move with the natural flow of energy. To ignore it is to walk against the current, always weary, always pushing. When sunlight enters your eyes in the morning, it does far more than allow you to see. It travels deep into the brain, signaling the master clock to start the day. Melatonin, the hormone that invites sleep, it fades away, while cortisol, the hormone of alertness, rises. Your body temperature increases, blood pressure adjusts, and the mind sharpens. Morning light is like a conductor raising his baton. The orchestra of your body knows it is time to play. Without this signal, the music stumbles and the day begins in confusion. But light does not only belong to the morning. Throughout the day, it continues to shape your energy. Bright, natural light at midday strengthens alertness, supports focus, and enhances mood. This is why walking outside, even for a few minutes, can feel like a reset, lifting heaviness and bringing clarity. Evening, however, tells a different story. As the sun sinks, the body begins to prepare for rest. Melatonin slowly rises, the mind softens, and the body longs for stillness. Darkness, once feared, is in truth a gift, an invitation to return to balance. Edgar Cayce often spoke of light as both a physical and spiritual force. He described it as the purest vibration, a reflection of divine order. He saw in sunlight not just warmth and brightness, but a healing rhythm that nourishes the body and lifts the soul. He urged people to walk outdoors, to let the morning sun touch the skin, to breathe in the energy of dawn. To Cayce, ignoring light was to ignore one of life's most profound gifts. Yet in our modern world, many of us live surrounded not by sunlight, but by artificial light. Screens glow late into the night, their blue light tricking the brain into thinking it is still daytime. Lamps and bulbs keep the environment bright long after the sun is set, confusing the inner clock and delaying the rise of melatonin. As a result, sleep drifts later, mornings feel heavier, and the natural cycle is broken. We may believe we are gaining freedom from nature, but in truth, we are losing freedom within ourselves. Consider how different you feel after spending a day outdoors compared to a day inside under fluorescent light. The body feels lighter, the mind calmer, the spirit more at ease. This is no accident. Exposure to natural light strengthens the circadian rhythm, anchoring it firmly, while too much artificial light at night weakens it. By choosing when and how we let light into our lives, we choose whether to live in harmony or in dissonance. One simple practice can make a great difference. Seek morning sunlight within the first hour after waking. Even 10 minutes of natural light can reset the inner clock, improving sleep at night and energy during the day. In the evening, dim the lights, lower the brightness of screens, and allow darkness to prepare you for rest. These are not grand rituals. They are gentle adjustments that return you to the natural dance of light and dark. Think of it like a compass. Light points you toward wakefulness. Darkness points you toward rest. Ignore the compass, and you wander lost through fatigue and confusion. Follow it, and you find balance. Cayce's wisdom echoes here. To respect the natural order is to restore health and harmony. The sun and the stars are not distant decorations in the sky. They are signals, guiding the rhythm of your body and soul. Perhaps tonight, when the sun sets, you might pause to notice the shift. Feel how the body grows quieter, how the air itself seems to slow. And tomorrow, when the first light breaks, notice how the body stirs, how life rises again. These are not coincidences. They are reminders that you belong to the rhythm of creation, carried by the same cycles that move oceans and forests and skies. Now that we understand how light and darkness shape the rhythm of energy, we can turn to another daily force that guides our performance: the food we eat. Just as light tells the body when to wake and when to sleep, food tells the body when to work and when to restore. Eating in harmony with the rhythm is more than nutrition. It is timing, a way of feeding the body when it is most ready to receive. Let us explore this secret in the next section. Every meal you eat is more than a source of calories. It is a signal to your inner clock. Food tells the body what time it is, instructing organs when to work, when to rest, and when to store energy. The rhythm of eating is woven into the rhythm of life itself, and when you align your meals with your natural cycles, you discover that nutrition becomes not just fuel, but harmony. Think of how the body greets food in the morning. After a night of fasting, the stomach awakens slowly, the liver prepares to process nutrients, and insulin sensitivity peaks. This is why the first meal of the day, whether it is large or small, sets the tone for your energy. Eating at this time signals the body to begin its work, raising metabolism, steadying blood sugar, and giving you the clarity needed to step into your golden hours. In contrast, skipping food for too long in the morning can sometimes strain the rhythm, leaving the mind foggy or the mood unsettled. By midday, digestion is strong, the body primed to handle nourishment with efficiency. This is often the best time for the day's heaviest meal, when enzymes and metabolism are most active. Energy flows into the muscles and brain, supporting work and creativity. But as the day fades, the body's readiness to process food begins to decline. Late-night eating, especially heavy or sugary meals, forces the digestive system to labor when it should be resting, disturbing both sleep and renewal. The result is not just poor rest, but sluggishness the next day, as though the body's carrying unfinished business. Edgar Cayce offered practical advice on diet that, though simple, resonates with what science has since confirmed. He often urged people to eat the heavier meal at noon, keep the evening meal light, and avoid overburdening the body before rest. He emphasized moderation, balance, and timing. To him, eating was not only a matter of health, but of harmony, for food was part of the spiritual rhythm of living. He reminded seekers that gluttony or irregular eating disturbs both body and soul, while mindful nourishment restores balance. Consider for yourself the difference between eating late at night versus eating earlier in the evening. The former often leads to restless sleep, a heavy stomach, and dreams that are unsettled. The latter allows the body to wind down, the stomach to finish its work, and the mind to rest deeply. It is not just what we eat that matters, but when we eat. Timing, as much as choice, shapes the quality of our energy. Movement, too, is part of this cycle. Just as eating in rhythm strengthens digestion, moving in rhythm strengthens vitality. A walk after a meal aids digestion and signals the body to use nutrients efficiently. Gentle activity in the morning awakens the muscles, while vigorous exercise is best reserved for times of high energy, when the body is already prepared to respond. To force heavy exercise at midnight, for example, strains the system, just as eating a feast at that hour does. Rhythm is the key, not just activity. Modern culture often ignores this truth. We snack at all hours, eat in front of glowing screens, and drink stimulants that mask the body's natural signals. In doing so, we confuse the inner clock, sending mixed messages that disrupt both sleep and energy. But when we return to harmony, eating with the sun, resting with the night, we find a quiet strength. Meals become moments of renewal, not just consumption. Think of your meals as chapters in the story of your day. Breakfast awakens, lunch fuels, dinner restores. To honor this story is to live with coherence. To ignore it is to create confusion. Cayce would remind us that even the act of blessing food, of eating with gratitude and awareness, aligns us not only with the body's rhythm, but with the rhythm of the spirit. For in that moment of pause, we remember that nourishment is sacred, a gift that sustains both flesh and soul. And so, having seen how food and timing shape energy, we move toward another vital practice, movement itself. Just as meals should follow the rhythm of the day, so too should the way we use our bodies. Exercise, like eating, is most powerful when aligned with the inner clock. In the next section, we will explore how movement becomes a symphony, lifting energy when timed well and draining it when forced against the rhythm. The body is meant to move, yet movement is not random. It is a dance that follows rhythm. Just as the tides follow the pull of the moon, our muscles, joints, and heartbeat respond to cycles of energy throughout the day. Exercise and activity are most effective when they are aligned with this natural flow. And when we move against it, fatigue and strain often follow. To understand this is to transform movement from a chore into a symphony of vitality. Think of a symphony orchestra. Each instrument enters at the right time, and when they play together, the music is powerful and whole. If a trumpet blasts too early or a violin lags behind, the harmony is lost. Movement in daily life is like that orchestra. Morning invites a gentle beginning, the soft strings of a warm-up walk, stretches, or light activity. As the day rises, the rhythm builds, and the body welcomes more vigorous motion. By evening, the tempo slows again, calling for gentler activity, allowing the body to wind down. To force exercise at the wrong time is like striking cymbals in the middle of a lullaby. It jars the body instead of nourishing it. Science confirms what Cayce intuitively emphasized. Timing matters. In the morning, body temperature is lower, muscles are stiffer, and joints less flexible. Gentle stretching, yoga, or walking harmonize with this state, awakening the body without strain. By late morning or early afternoon, core temperature rises, reaction time sharpens, and muscles grow more pliable. This is often the body's peak for strength, endurance, and performance. Exercise at this time not only feels more natural, but also produces greater results with less risk of injury. As evening approaches, energy begins to dip, and while light activity like walking or stretching aids digestion and relaxation, intense exertion may interfere with sleep. Cayce often urged balance in physical care, warning against extremes. He advised movement in nature, walks under the sun, or simple exercises that encouraged circulation and alignment. To him, motion was not merely for the body, but for the spirit. For in movement, the soul expressed itself through form. He viewed the body as a temple, and movement as one way of keeping that temple alive with energy. Overexertion, however, was just as harmful as neglect, for it disrupted the harmony of rhythm that sustains well-being. Imagine then what it feels like when you align movement with rhythm. A morning walk awakens you gently, the air cool and fresh, preparing your mind for the day. Midday exercise sharpens focus, clears stress, and fuels creativity. Evening stretches or a slow stroll release the day's tension, helping the body slip into rest. Movement becomes not an obligation, but an ally, a way of living in step with life cycles. There is also a deeper dimension to this. When you move in rhythm, you begin to notice that exercise is not separate from breath, from thought, from feeling. A jog at the right time can feel like meditation, each step syncing with the heartbeat, each breath a prayer. A stretch before sleep can feel like release, the body letting go of the weight of the day. Cayce would remind us here that all aspects of life are connected. What we call physical health is also mental clarity and spiritual peace. Movement is one of the bridges between them. In our modern age, many of us live still lives. Hours in front of screens, long days at desks, commutes in cars. We treat exercise as something to add, a box to check, rather than as the natural flow of living. But if you look deeper, you will see that movement is always present, woven into the rhythm of each day. It need not be confined to the gym or the track. It can be as simple as walking outdoors at sunrise, breathing deeply, letting light touch the skin. It can be stretching in the middle of work, dancing to music in your kitchen, bending to tend a garden. When you see movement as rhythm rather than duty, it becomes joy. Ask yourself, when do you feel strongest? When do you feel lightest? When does the body itself seem to invite motion? These are your clues. Listen, and you will find that movement fits naturally into your day, energizing rather than draining you. Resist, and you may feel burdened, your body heavy, your mind restless. The choice is simple. Fight the rhythm or flow with it. And so, as we discover the power of aligning eating and moving with the body's natural timing, we arrive at a deeper question. Should we live by the clock on the wall or the cycle within us? Modern life insists we follow schedules and deadlines, but nature whispers another truth. The body already knows when to act and when to rest. In the next section, we will explore the difference between living by external time and living by internal cycles, and how choosing the latter can restore balance, health, and true efficiency. The world around us runs on mechanical time. We wake when the alarm rings, begin work at the hour appointed, eat lunch because the clock strikes noon, and end the day not when our bodies are ready, but when the schedule allows. These numbers on the wall have become our master, dictating every action. Yet within us beats another timekeeper, older than any watch, wiser than any calendar. It is the cycle of energy that rises and falls like the tide, calling us not to the artificial rhythm of minutes and hours, but to the natural rhythm of life itself. Imagine two lives. In the first, a person wakes at 6 because the clock demands it, though the body aches for one more hour of sleep. They drink coffee to force alertness, sit down to work during a low-energy valley, and push through fatigue late into the evening to meet a deadline. Their day is filled with struggle, each task a battle, as though they are rowing against the current all day long. In the second life, a person wakes when their body stirs naturally, eats when hunger arrives, works during their golden hours, and rests when energy dips. They accomplish more with less strain, not because they force themselves harder, but because they move with the current. The difference between the two lives is not discipline, it is alignment. Edgar Cayce spoke often about harmony with natural law. He insisted that health and vitality are not achieved through willpower alone, but by respecting the order already present in creation. He warned that to impose an unnatural pattern on the body is to invite dis-ease, for the body cannot thrive when forced against its own design. He might have said that living by the wall clock without listening to the inner clock is to serve a false master. True freedom comes not from rigid control, but from harmony. Consider how you feel at different points in the day. There are hours when energy soars, when tasks flow easily, when ideas come unbidden. And there are hours when focus fades, when eyelids grow heavy, when the body cries for stillness. These shifts are not weakness, they are signals. To ignore them is to lose efficiency. To honor them is to multiply it. When you listen, you discover that energy is not constant. It comes in waves. The wise learn to surf these waves instead of fighting them. Modern life tempts us to believe that more hours equal more productivity. We chase longer workdays, later nights, endless hustle. Yet research and experience alike show that the quality of energy matters far more than the quantity of hours. A single hour in your golden cycle can outshine 4 hours outside it. When you honor this truth, you begin to plan your days differently. Instead of filling your schedule by the clock, you arrange your work by the rise and fall of your energy. Tasks requiring focus are done at peaks, routine work at valleys, and rest is no longer guilt but strategy. Cayce would remind us here that the spiritual life follows similar rhythms. There are seasons of growth, times of planting and harvest, moments of silence and reflection. Just as the earth rests in winter and blooms in spring, so too the soul has cycles. To force constant activity is to burn out the soil of the spirit. To honor cycles is to grow with grace. The lesson is universal. Energy is not infinite, but cyclical, and wisdom lies in flowing with its pattern. What might this look like for you? Perhaps you notice that your clearest thinking comes mid-morning. Then, protect that time for your most important work. Perhaps you feel drowsy in the early afternoon. Instead of fighting it, use that time for lighter tasks, movement, or even brief rest. Perhaps your creativity blooms at night when distractions fade. Then give yourself space to honor it, while still respecting sleep. The key is not to copy another's rhythm, but to discover your own. The clock on the wall will always tick, demanding obedience. But the deeper clock, the one in your blood and breath, offers a kinder way. It whispers when to act and when to pause, when to give and when to restore. When you listen to it, you find not only greater efficiency, but also greater peace. Work feels less like a burden, rest less like an indulgence, and life more like a song. And yet, as we begin to embrace this inner cycle, we must also face its enemies. For the modern world is filled with forces that disrupt rhythm, pulling us out of tune. Coffee consumed too late, screens glowing long into the night, habits that confuse the body's natural signals. To truly live in harmony, we must learn not only how to follow the rhythm, but how to protect it from disruption. In the next section, we will uncover these enemies of rhythm and learn how to keep them from stealing our energy. Every song can be interrupted by noise, and every rhythm can be broken by discord. The body's inner clock, delicate yet powerful, is no exception. Even as it guides us faithfully through the cycles of day and night, modern life surrounds us with disruptors, forces that confuse the rhythm, scatter its harmony, and leave us stumbling through fatigue and imbalance. To live in tune with our natural cycles, we must first recognize these enemies of rhythm and learn how to guard against them. The first and perhaps most common disruptor is caffeine. In moderation, it can be a gentle ally, sharpening focus and lifting energy. But consumed at the wrong time, it becomes a thief of rest. Caffeine lingers in the body far longer than most realize, sometimes for 6, 8, or even 10 hours. A cup of coffee in the late afternoon may mean restless tossing at midnight. the rhythm of sleep broken by artificial stimulation. What feels like a gain in the moment becomes a loss for tomorrow, as the debt of rest grows. Edgar Cayce often warned against relying too heavily on stimulants, reminding us that true vitality comes not from forcing energy, but from nurturing it. He would have seen the misuse of caffeine as a way of borrowing from the future, a bargain that never truly pays. The second disruptor is artificial light, especially the blue glow of screens. Our ancestors lived by firelight, soft and warm, which signaled the body that night had come. But today we live surrounded by screens, phones, televisions, computers, that shine with the same spectrum of light as the morning sun. To the inner clock, these signals are confusing, like hearing the conductor call for morning when night has already fallen. Melatonin, the body's signal for rest, is suppressed, and sleep is delayed. The result is not just shorter nights, but shallower ones, as the body struggles to rest in the midst of mixed messages. Third is the habit of late nights themselves. To stay awake long after the body has signaled for rest is to fight against its deepest rhythm. The mind may feel a burst of false alertness in the late hours, what some call a second wind, but this too is deceptive. It comes at the cost of natural restoration, and over time it weakens the immune system, clouds the mind, and wears down the spirit. Cayce spoke of the body as a temple that must be respected. To deny it rest is to close its doors to renewal. Other disruptors are subtler but no less real. Irregular eating with meals at different hours each day confuses the digestive clock. Inactivity, with long hours of sitting and little movement, dulls the signals that align metabolism and energy. Noise, stress, and overstimulation in the evening keep the nervous system in a state of alertness when it should be preparing for calm. Each of these small habits chips away at the rhythm until the song of the body becomes fragmented, scattered, and weary. But the good news is this: just as the rhythm can be broken, it can also be restored. Awareness is the first step. When you notice what disrupts your cycles, you can begin to guard them. Limit caffeine to the early part of the day, letting the body find its natural rest at night. Step away from screens in the evening, or soften their light with filters, remembering that darkness is not an enemy, but a healer. Choose regularity, sleeping, eating, and rising at consistent times, so that the body learns to trust its own signals. Create quiet rituals before bed, reading, meditation, prayer, or a gentle walk. These are ways of returning harmony to the song. Cayce often urged seekers to live simply, in balance with nature, to avoid excess and to respect rhythm. He believed that healing does not always come from outside, but from within, when we allow the body to express the order it was designed to follow. The same truth applies here. The enemies of rhythm lose their power when we return to the wisdom already present inside us. Think of rhythm like a flame. It burns steadily when protected, but if left exposed, the wind can scatter it. Your task is not to create the fire. It is already there. Your task is to shield it, to keep it steady, to honor the cycles that nourish it. And once you do, something remarkable happens. You begin to feel not only less tired, but more whole. Your days regain their flow, your nights their depth, your mind its clarity. You are no longer a victim of fatigue, but a partner in harmony. And this harmony, as we will now see, is not only a matter of energy, but of healing. For when the body is aligned with its rhythm, it does more than perform. It restores, repairs, and transforms. In the next section, we will uncover the healing power that emerges when you return to rhythm. Healing is not always something that arrives from the outside. More often, it is a process that unfolds quietly within, given the right conditions. The body is not a machine that simply wears down with use. It is a living, intelligent system, always seeking balance, always striving to restore itself. And one of the greatest keys to this restoration lies in rhythm. When you live in harmony with your inner cycles, the body responds with renewal. When you fight against them, dis-ease and imbalance take root. Think of a cut on the skin. You do not command it to close, to knit together, to form new tissue. The body knows. It heals without instruction, guided by processes older than memory. The same principle is true for the deeper rhythms of energy, digestion, immunity, and sleep. When aligned with the circadian rhythm, these processes hum in harmony, repairing damage, clearing toxins, restoring clarity. When disrupted, the music falters and healing slows. Edgar Cayce often described illness not as punishment, but as imbalance. He urged those who sought his counsel to restore harmony with natural law, regular rest, mindful nourishment, balance between activity and stillness. He saw the body as both physical and spiritual, a temple where the rhythms of creation expressed themselves. To him, true healing required more than medicine. It required alignment, a return to the natural order. In this way, circadian rhythm is not just science, but a spiritual law written into our flesh. Consider the immune system. At night, during deep sleep, it becomes more active, producing cells that fight infection and repair tissue. To cut the night short is to weaken this defense, leaving the body vulnerable. Consider the brain. During sleep, especially in deep and REM cycles, the brain clears waste products, processes memory, and integrates emotions. To disrupt the cycle is to cloud the mind, making focus difficult and mood unstable. Healing is always happening, but its strength depends on rhythm. Even emotions are tied to this pattern. When sleep is broken, when meals are irregular, when light and dark are ignored, the nervous system struggles to find calm. Anxiety, irritability, or sadness often follow. But when you honor the cycle, resting deeply, waking with the sun, nourishing the body at the right times, the mind steadies, emotions soften, and resilience grows. Healing is not only of the body, but of the whole being. Cayce taught that prayer, meditation, and stillness before sleep open the soul to impressions from higher realms. Modern science, in its own way, shows that pre-sleep rituals calm the nervous system, preparing both mind and body for renewal. The language may differ, but the truth is the same. How you live in rhythm shapes how deeply you heal. Perhaps you have felt this in your own life. A week of late nights, rushed meals, and overstimulation leaves you heavy, fogged, and irritable. But a week of steady rest, morning light, nourishing meals, and mindful movement brings clarity, energy, and peace. The difference is not magic. It is rhythm restored. Healing is not an event, but a process, unfolding every day when given the space to do so. Think of a musical instrument left untuned. It still produces sound, but the notes are sharp, flat, discordant. With careful tuning, the strings fall back into harmony, and music flows once again. The body is much the same. Disruption dulls it, imbalance skews it, but alignment restores its song. And the tool for tuning is rhythm. Sleep, light, food, movement, all arranged in harmony, with the cycle written into our being. So if you long for healing, begin not with what more you must add, but with how you might return. Return to steady rest. Return to meals in rhythm. Return to the rising sun and the falling night. Return to the simple patterns of nature. For in this return, the body heals not because you command it, but because it is free to do what it was always designed to do. And as healing unfolds, something else becomes possible. The design of a life that flows. A life planned not against the rhythm, but with it. To heal is to restore balance. To design your days in rhythm is to protect that balance, to make harmony your way of life. In the next section, we will learn how to design your life's flow, arranging work, rest, and renewal according to the cycles of energy that already live within you. Once you begin to recognize the rhythm within you, not as theory, but as living experience, the question naturally arises: how do you shape your life to flow with it? It is one thing to know that energy rises and falls like a tide. It is another to design your days so that you move with the tide instead of against it. This is where rhythm becomes not just awareness, but practice. Think first of your most important work, the tasks that require your sharpest focus or your deepest creativity. These belong to your golden hours, those peaks of clarity when the mind and body are most alive. Protect them as you would guard treasure. Do not waste them on errands or distractions. Give them to the work that matters most to your growth, your purpose, your soul. Cayce would remind us that each soul has a mission, and to spend our best energy on lesser tasks is to neglect that mission. Honor your golden hours, and you honor your calling. Next, consider the valleys, the times when energy naturally dips. These are not failures, they are opportunities. Just as fields must lie fallow before bearing fruit, so too the body needs moments of rest. Instead of fighting these valleys with stimulants or guilt, use them wisely. Take a walk, breathe deeply, stretch, or handle routine tasks that require less focus. In doing so, you align rest with rhythm, and when the tide of energy rises again, you are ready to meet it. Meals can also be planned in harmony. Place the heaviest meal near midday, when digestion is strongest, and keep the evening light so the body can rest. Movement can follow the same design: gentle in the morning, vigorous at midday, restorative in the evening. Even small practices like seeking sunlight upon waking or dimming lights before bed can become anchors in your daily flow. These are not rules to follow rigidly, but patterns to adopt with kindness, adapting them to your own body's signals. To design life in rhythm also means choosing consistency. The body thrives on patterns. Waking at similar times, eating at regular intervals, moving daily, resting nightly. These repeated signals strengthen the inner clock, making it more reliable, more steady. The more you respect the rhythm, the more it rewards you with energy, focus, and peace. Cayce would say that the soul grows through regularity, for in rhythm we find both health and spiritual clarity. This way of living may feel strange at first, especially in a world that values constant availability, endless hustle, and schedules set by external demands. But with practice, it becomes natural, even liberating. For when you know your rhythm, you know yourself. You no longer depend on the pressure of the wall clock to force action. Instead, you let the inner clock guide you, and action flows. You are not less productive for it. You are more. Efficiency arises not from doing more, but from doing the right thing at the right time. Imagine a river again. You can paddle upstream with all your strength, straining against the current, or you can turn your boat with the flow and glide forward. Designing life in rhythm is choosing the glide. It is not laziness, it is wisdom. For when you glide, you travel farther with less effort, and you arrive with joy instead of exhaustion. And here lies the greatest gift. Once you shape your life in rhythm, you begin to feel not only efficient, but whole. Work no longer drains you, rest no longer feels stolen, health no longer feels fragile. Instead, life feels balanced, like a song in tune. And in that balance, there is power. As we prepare to close this journey, one truth remains to be revealed: the power of living in tune. For when you live by rhythm, you discover that peak performance is not about striving, but about harmony. The secret is not force, but flow. In our final section, we will bring together all we have learned and see how the art of living in rhythm transforms not only your days, but your very being. Harmony is the hidden thread that weaves life together. When you begin to live by the rhythm within you, something extraordinary happens. The constant struggle eases, the endless pushing softens, and life itself starts to feel lighter. You realize that peak performance was never about force, it was always about flow. The greatest athletes, the most inspired artists, the most resilient leaders, all in their own way, live by rhythm. They may not always call it by that name, but they listen. They know when to rest, when to act, when to reach, and when to step back. They understand that the body is not a machine to be driven without pause, but an instrument to be tuned and played in harmony. And when tuned, it produces a song that is clear, strong, and enduring. Edgar Cayce often reminded his listeners that the laws of the universe are the same in the heavens and in the body. Just as the planets move in orbits, as seasons follow seasons, as day turns faithfully into night, so too does the human being live by cycles. To ignore them is to invite disharmony. To honor them is to find peace. He described this alignment not as a burden, but as liberation. A return to the natural order. Think of how far you have come in this journey. You have discovered the golden hours, those sacred times when your mind is sharpest and your body most alive. You have seen the renewing power of sleep, the guiding compass of light, the harmony of eating and moving in tune. You have recognized the enemies of rhythm, caffeine, screens, late nights, and learned how to shield yourself from them. You have explored how rhythm heals, not only in the body but in the soul, and how designing life in flow can transform daily struggle into grace. The lesson is simple, yet profound. Efficiency does not come from doing more, but from doing what is right in the right time. Productivity is not about cramming more hours into the day, but about aligning those hours with a natural rise and fall of energy. Health is not about endless control, but about respect for the body, for the spirit, for the rhythm that has always guided you. And perhaps most importantly, you now know that living in rhythm is not only about performance, it is about presence. When you live in tune, you notice more. The morning sun feels like a gift, not just a signal to hurry. The evening darkness feels like an invitation, not just an end. Meals become moments of gratitude, movement becomes joy, rest becomes trust. Life itself feels less like a race and more like a song. So let me ask you, what might happen if you gave yourself to this rhythm fully? What if, for 1 week, you honored sleep, sought the morning light, ate in harmony, moved in flow, worked in your golden hours, and rested in your valleys? Would you not discover more energy than you thought possible? Would you not feel lighter, calmer, more at peace? The secret has never been about forcing yourself harder. It has always been about listening more deeply. Cayce would remind us that the soul longs for harmony, and the body is one of its instruments. To live in rhythm is to allow the soul's music to be heard more clearly. And in that music, there is strength, there is peace, and there is joy. So remember, peak performance does not come from doing more. It comes from living in tune. And when you live in tune, you do not merely survive your days, you flourish within them. Rhythm is not a theory. It is a reality you can feel in your bones, in your breath, in your heartbeat. Every part of you already knows the truth. There is a time to rise and a time to rest, a time to create and a time to restore. The challenge of modern life is not to find this rhythm, but to remember it, to return to it, to trust it again. Think of how easily we ignore the signs. We drink coffee instead of resting. We scroll through screens instead of sleeping. We eat when we are bored rather than when we are hungry. We demand more from our bodies, treating them as though they were machines without limits. And then we wonder why we are exhausted, restless, and unfulfilled. The answer is not more force. The answer is more listening. When you begin to live by rhythm, you discover that life itself supports you. The sun wakes you. The night restores you. Food nourishes you. Movement enlivens you. Rest heals you. Each part of the cycle contributes to the whole. And when you flow with it, you no longer waste energy fighting. You become lighter, more efficient, more whole. Edgar Cayce saw this as part of a larger truth, that the soul is meant to live in harmony, not only with itself, but with the universe. To honor rhythm is to honor creation. It is to recognize that the same laws that guide the stars also guide your heartbeat. It is to live not in opposition to life, but as part of its song. I invite you to try it. Begin with small steps. Step outside in the morning light. Eat your meals at regular times. Move your body daily, not in punishment, but in joy. Allow yourself to rest at night without guilt, without force. Listen for your golden hours and give them to what matters most. Protect your valleys and allow them to restore you. These are not luxuries. They are necessities, as vital as air and water. Give yourself 1 week of living in rhythm and notice the change. Notice how mornings feel easier, how thoughts feel clearer, how emotions feel steadier. Notice how your body thanks you with energy, your mind with focus, your spirit with peace. You will see that efficiency is not the reward, it is the byproduct. The true gift is balance, presence, and harmony. Life is not a race to be won, nor a burden to be carried. It is a song to be lived. And you will sing most beautifully when you sing in rhythm. Your rhythm, the rhythm of creation, the rhythm that has always been within you. So step into the flow, honor the cycles, trust the song, and let your life become not a struggle against time, but a dance within it.